Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe I should just sit down now, because I already got the standing ovation. Thank you. It's such an honor to be standing on this stage in front of so many leaders of our community. It's a humbling experience and something that I will not forget. I would like to recognize members of my family who are here, starting with my father, Carlos Lopez-Cantera Sr., and his wife, Marta. My tia, Amita Lopez-Cantera. My sister, Monica Cantera Seralta. And mi prima, who many of you know, but maybe you don't know she's my prima, Vivian Williams. I'd also like to recognize the man of the hour, Governor Jeb Bush. And his son, Jeb Bush Jr., who's here. And I'm going to tell a story in a little bit about Jeb. Congressman Lincoln Diaz-Balart. State Senator Anita de Flores. Our state attorney, Kathy Fernandez-Rundle. Representative Eric Fresson. El alcalde de la ciudad de Miami, Tomás Regalado. And last but not least, certainly not least, somebody who definitely deserves a round of applause and maybe his own standing ovation, and that's Mauricio Clavet Caron. And there are so many other dignitaries and leaders of this community in this room that if I started listing them, I would clearly use up my time and Governor Bush's time behind this podium, and I don't think any of you want that. So to those of you who I have not recognized, thank you for being here. It truly is an honor to stand on this stage in front of the leaders of this community, in front of the leaders of la comunidad de los exilios. Many of the things that I learned about Cuba, other than in books or documentaries, I learned from my grandfather. And I miss him dearly. His dream was to go back to Cuba. Unfortunately, he did not live to see that dream become a reality. So it is upon my generation to live that dream for him. And I hope that we do. And I know we will, because of the work of many of you in this room. And I look forward to celebrating, though I won't be there in person, in spirit, with my very good friend, Congressman-elect Carlos Curbelo. So what I would like to see from this room, and I would like to participate and help in any ways, I would like to see more engagement, but not with the Castro regime, with the next generation. I am a first-generation Cuban American. I am the son of exiles, and I lived the exile experience through the eyes and the stories that my father, my aunt, my grandfather, my grandmother told me. Stories that are now in the repository of my cousin, Vivian, who is the bank of all these stories. A story like how my great-grandfather, who we refer to as Abuelo Cantera, and my father's first cousins escaped the island. We had a family farm in Cabarien. The farm was large. It had its own crop duster. And my great-grandfather and my father's two first cousins escaped Cuba in that crop duster. They emptied out the tank of poison, cleaned it up, put my great-grandfather in there. My father's cousin flew it, Victor, and my father's other cousin, Eddie, held on to the wings, one of those sides. And they flew from Cuba to Jamaica and landed on a polo field where they were promptly arrested. But they got out. And there are so many other stories like that that people in this room can tell. And it's our job to tell that story to the third generation Cuban Americans, fourth generation Cuban Americans. Because in my family, there are fourth generation Cuban Americans alive and walking right now. And it is incumbent upon us to tell them those stories so that they can relate to the experience like I was able to with my grandfather. Instead of a theme that comes up during a political campaign every 2 years that they hear about in news stories or read about in the paper, it is incumbent upon us to tell them those stories so they can see and live through the eyes of their family members, because that is more powerful than any propaganda that either side can produce or disseminate. Hearing from an abuelo, a tío, a tía, primo, prima, about what it was really like, how it affected their family, their bloodline, and what struggles our families went through so that we could sit in this room here today, in the greatest country on the planet Earth, in the history of the planet. So that's what I am going to be working on in my family, in the four corners of our Cantera households, talking with my daughter, my nieces, my nephews, asking my cousin Vivian to remind me some of the stories, and telling them how our family got here. Because those stories are very important. And that is worthwhile. Thank you so much. It is such an honor to be here today.